Hi everybody, Sai here. I'm one of the team that's organising Halton Rocks 2020. There's going to be quite a lot of Halton Rocks content coming your way over the coming days and weeks as we start to reveal the lineup. And we're going to let you know which artists and which bands you can see on the night. Really exciting lineup, really strong. Looking forward to sharing it with you guys. Thank you for watching this video to everybody who's watching it. Just by watching this video, you're taking an interest in what we do and supporting us. Everyone who's following our event page on Facebook and the various social media that we're doing, thank you. So let's get on with it. We've got an interview for each act. I got together with the team before we did this because we knew we'd need like a little introduction segment before each one, and the team said to me, look, we've got a little bit of budget. Lockdown measures are eased a touch now. We can drive to places if you want to film on location. What do you want to do? And it's been a long-standing ambition of mine to introduce musicians from in front of a baby gate. So that's a little box ticked for me. So we're on location at the baby gate, and let's have, without any further ado, the next act to appear at Halton Rocks 2020.
Greg Oldfield. Greg, thank you very much for joining us for a chat about Halton Rocks, and thank you very much, Greg, for saying yes to Halton Rocks.
No, I'm made up, yes. A wonderful cause, so just glad to be involved.
I'm looking forward to having a chat with you today, Greg. This will go out probably a week or two after we record it. Is it roasting at your house? Because it's roasting at my house.
Yeah, it's really hot, really warm. Yeah. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something to eat? I don't know, it's very hot. It's very warm.
No, I wasn't asking you if you're roasting, for example, beef. Could be pork, could be beef, we don't know, but it's...
Usually chicken.
Oh, nice. Crispy skins.
Very.
Yeah, it's all about the crispy skins, man. I'm in the spare bedroom upstairs. I put a blanket over the window to try and stop the glare, but it's made it like a sauna.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen.
You see, you get two musicians like this, and this is how riveting it can be for our viewers. Look, seeing as we go back such a long way, Greg, I don't mind revealing a little exclusive, because even though I've got my lumberjack shirt on and I'm not really dressed for the weather from the waist up, from the waist down, look.
Tutu. Oh, sandals, very good. No legs, yeah? No trousers.
No.
Yeah, I'm sat in a tutu.
It's like, I heard rumours that back in the day people used to have flannel trousers, and instead of wearing shorts in the summer, they used to roll it up.
Yeah, I would think that's a thing.
Right,
not done it myself, like.
Well, it's my little tribute. All right, my friend, let's talk music. So I've got to ask you, in a way, it's one of those questions I'm loath to ask because it's a question everybody asks of a musician. I want to go there and I want to find out about you because I'm conscious I've known you quite a long time, quite a lot of people have, but I know you've been making music for as long since before I've known you. So would you be willing to take us back to kind of day one and talk us through a timeline of your career?
Well, it's a long time ago. 14 was when I think I first got interested in making any kind of music. And that was using anything around the house just to try and get sounds out of things. And then I got a bass guitar. So my bass guitar was the first thing I ever got into playing. And I got a reel-to-reel synthesizer, drum machine, started off all kind of electronic. Good fun. I mean, I'm sure I've said all this before, I think, but so I don't want to bore people. And then I met some people. So that was when I was 14. I got into some punk bands with Al Cunningham and Dave Proughton, which were rehearsing in my dad's garage. Then after school, I met people called Rob, Kim, and Pete, and we formed a band called Paralytic Dance, which was like an electronic band. We did a couple of gigs, top of the town, big gyms. We played there once. We used to rehearse in there with a lad called Fisher who used to do all this robotic dancing with mirrors. And then I ended up doing some solo gigs, and then I did 2 at the library in Runcorn, supporting a band called Zero Option, and then a band called Gloves in Heaven or Gloves from Heaven. But anyway, from that, I did that with a reel-to-reel keyboard, all my own songs. And then it just kind of started to play. The songs I'd written to Tony Dagnall, who's an old friend. He said, let's start a band. So we started a band called Privateers. And then we got some other people involved. That transformed into Great Lady Soul. We got a record deal with Virgin Records, which, you know, brilliant days. Released 2 singles, recorded an album, but it never got released, as was the thing that happened a lot in the 80s and early 90s. And, you know, I've just been doing it on my own since then, really, just pottering about.
Yeah, you have solo for quite a long period, and everybody, I think every music follower in the borough loves you for that, for all that output that you've had. And it's interesting, one of the things I noticed about when you were talking about the whole timeline there, I was talking to another artist who's going to be at Halton Rocks just recently. He started in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I won't reveal his name just in case, I don't know what order we'll put these out, but it's interesting that the kind of music that people associate artists with now, when you talk about all the different bands you've been in, lots of different bands, lots of different genres, that the genre and the style of music that you play over the years changes a lot. And I'm interested to know what the driving factor is in that. Is it your musical tastes, what you're listening to? Is it the people you're playing with? Is it natural? Is it a combination of all those things? Why do you think things change so much over the course of a lifetime?
I mean, I think with me it was necessity, which is what I had. So originally when I started, I didn't have any music instruments. So I used to record the radio, long wave radio signals when you get all that static. Try and make, not tunes, but things up out of them. And then my dad had an old banjo. So I used to bang on that and make sounds out of that. I used to have a game called Rebound, which was like these plastic tubs and you steel ball bearings, and you drop them and they bounce and you get a score. But I used to use the tubs as drums. So, and then when I got the bass and then all my mates were punks, that inevitably you started, well, I'll be in a punk band. And then I got into Gary Newman. So about 14, 15. Gary Newman came out. It was all synthesized and stuff. Thought, I've got to have that. So I got drum machines, synthesizers, old echo machines. So then I was in an electronic thing. And now, because I'm Billy No Mates, I've got to sit playing guitar and whining. You know?
A lot of the times it's kind of been your circumstances that shoved you in one direction or another. I know you've got an eclectic music taste, because I know some of the stuff that you've posted on your social media, some of the stuff you've recommended to me. That wide variety of styles and genres you've played in, have you enjoyed them all equally? Or? Yeah,
because it's that. I still intend. I mean, sometimes when I play, so I've done songs. I might have only done them once, but they were kind of like, I thought, I can't remember the song was called, but it's kind of a punky song. I did it at the Vic years ago. It was kind of a punky song, so it's all whatever I've absorbed or whatever I've done into me, and I still think sometimes it comes out, and I still want to do more electronic music. You know, I've not really put it out there, but during lockdown, I've been pottering, so hopefully I will get something out, which is a bit more electronic.
Okay, that's really interesting and really tantalising that there's some stuff you've been working with during the lockdown there that you may treat us to in the future. Because do you feel that? Because I know from my experiences with Clarky, we always play as an acoustic duo, so people don't really realise there's this whole other world we're into. I mean, you've been playing solo a long time, so do you think that helps you do things your way, or do you think it can hinder you express yourself when you've got? Because I remember the first thing I heard of yours that really I thought, no way is that Greg. Was, you know, when We Are Scary People and We Have Empty Heads.
Yeah.
So is it helping or a hindrance, do you think?
Well, that was a fun kind of song to do. That just was dead quick. Recorded it really quick. I think we recorded on a Porter studio. You know, I just put a drum machine down and distorted voice. Stuff like that's great. I love it because like with visual arts, I've not done it for years, but I used to love making collages, because collages, I often think you have a lot of accidents doing them, but they're accidents that work, and you think, oh yeah, it might be you just lay something down on the paper and you think, oh, that works. So that's kind of what those that especially Scary People, Empty Heads, because that's got all. I got the compressor wrong, so you've got all the breathing. You know, it's just picking up all the breathing, but it works. So I like that. I want to do more stuff like that. You know, will do.
And I know you said there that you've been pottering around a bit during the lockdown. Do you think the lockdown's given you an impetus just for now? Or do you feel like this enforced isolation, it's kind of made you think about all the things you want to do when this is over, artistically, personally, whatever?
Yeah, I think other people have embraced it and thought, well, I've got all this time, I'm going to fill this time with positive stuff and write songs and plays and whatever, poetry. But I've not embraced it fully because you know, with anxiety and things like that, you kind of in lockdown often. So when it came around and we were all in lockdown, it wasn't that strange to me, if you know what I mean. So I think I need to not really motivate myself that as much as I think I should have done. Right. If that makes sense. So I'm waiting for it to finish, and then then start. I don't know.
And do you think that because of the things you've been working on and looking at and the way that lockdown makes us all reflect once it's over, do you think you'll want to spread your wings wider and try different genres and record or play live different things?
Yeah, well, but this is something that's always been in my mind for years of doing, getting up and because I had a PSP, the Sony Games thing. I got this software, but beta for it, and I was always going to do, 2 songs in the set using this as the backing with me playing guitar. So I have an iPad now, which is an iPad Mini, which has got loads of GarageBand on and Core Gadgets. It's got loads of software. So I'd still intend to do, at least if I did one song, plug the iPad in, bit of a backing on it. Not cheesy, but just something.
I think everyone listening to you say that would love to hear it if you were ever to do it. And another thing I'll just pick up on there on the way that you were talking about the lockdown is when I've been chatting with artists about Halton Rocks that's coming up and recording these interviews, we've talked about the lockdown a bit, but I've been careful to really only ask people to talk about it from an artistic point of view, not so much a personal point of view, because I don't want to ask personal questions of people. But one of the things we've been talking about is what message we put out there to anybody watching this. And because you brought it up, and I can cut this out if you like, but you mentioned there that you're not too unfamiliar with this type of scenario due to anxiety. A lot of the people I've spoken to so far have been dealing with it very well. For anybody watching this who maybe gets similar problems, is there anything that you would like to say to people?
What, to help with anxiety?
Yeah, and in whatever ways that people are struggling in general at the moment, do you have a message?
Well, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. 2005, I had a panic attack. That was my first ever panic attack. And I used to get them constantly. And then since then, I've had medication. I've been on courses, CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. And at the moment, how I handle it is breathing exercises, 4-7-8 breathing. There's loads of help on YouTube, but YouTube's a fantastic thing you want to learn guitar, you want to cope with your anxiety, you want to fix a bike. Brilliant, I love it. But yeah, I do mine mainly with breathing exercises now, and just realising, that I've been there before with the anxiety. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I think it's helpful to people as well. I think if anybody's watching this, to hear somebody who routinely gets on a stage and puts themselves out there in front of an audience talk about that is helpful. And I think if people can take anything from your hints and tips about breathing and using the resources that are available, then let's hope that any conversations that we have during this period are helpful.
Yeah, well, I can't recommend 4-7-8 breathing. Any highly, it's really good. If that makes sense again, I'm getting confused.
No, it makes perfect sense, and it's nice to hear about, and it's educational too. I mean, prior to you talking about that now, I've never heard of it, and I'm sure I won't be the only person. There'll be people watching this who've maybe never heard of it and thought, right, yeah, I'm going to check that out. So thanks for that, Greg. And of course, the other thing we talk about during the lockdown is the artistic side of it. I know I know you're very well loved as a songwriter. I try to be a songwriter, sometimes to a great success and often to a lesser. But with all the time on my hands, I've been having a go. And I thought it might be a little fun exercise, just a little bit of levity while we're doing this. I've written something, and I thought maybe I could present it to you and you could give me a critique. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, yeah.
And I hope it's not awkward, Greg, but I've written something here, and I hope you don't mind, but it's a dedication to you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, this is my little song I've written in the lockdown to Greg Oldfield. I've put my heart and soul into it, and I hope I get a good critique, but be honest, okay. Oh, Greg Oldfield, you are a person whom I know. We converse sometimes.
I like it.
Live in the same town.
Cool.
That it?
Well, yeah. That's a good start for a song. I'm into it.
Start? That's a bloody sin.
Yeah.
I poured my heart and soul into that.
Very good. I like that song you sent me the other day. That was excellent.
Oh, which one?
The lockdown one. The
Oh,
lockdown.
like the lockdown.
A hit.
Well, the Greg Oldfield song can be the B-side.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Halton Rocks a little bit. Like I say, I know you've played for us at Halton Rocks very near the start of it when we were first getting going. I've got the luxury of inviting people this time around. Whenever you've been asked to take part in Halton Rocks or a Rect or anything like that, you've never hesitated to say yes. I know myself and Graham and Steve, the lads who organise Rect, we all feel very grateful that when we appeal to the musicians of the borough, everybody puts their hands up and volunteers. So I'd like to ask you why that is and why is Halton Rocks important?
So, well, I mean, I always want to support anybody that's doing anything around here. I will offer my support if they want it, you know. And I'm just happy to be involved in these events, and you know, with the Halton Rocks. Is it still the same charity this year?
Yeah, mate.
As well. Yeah, because that is a lovely. What I know of it seems to be like a lovely kind of supportive thing. Whatever that thing is, that cause, that you know when I've seen, because I've seen the website and taking the kids to wherever it is and the young people, it just seems like a lovely thing to be doing, and especially in these days, these strange days.
They are strange days, and thanks for that, Greg. Really appreciate those words. And it's not just Halton Rocks. I'm aware. I'm sure everybody's aware how closely involved you are in the art scene in the town. With your partner Louise and with Loose Music and the studio and everything, you're held in such very, very high esteem on the music scene, and I don't think you realise you are, but you're so supportive to everybody in every project, and I know you're sort of on the ground involved in everything. And the local music scene and the local art scene has been in a state of flux, can we say, maybe for 10 years with some highs and lows. Where would you say we're at right now?
Well, again, this is a lockdown thing, but I'm being around Louise. I've seen so much creativity because Louise has been doing all these studio videos and Instagram shows, Facebook performances of poetry, of theatre, of music, singing, songwriting, and it just seems very, very rich at the moment. That's me coming into contact with it. But I think that will seep out into the society, you know, because people, you know, you write a poem and then you talk to people about you wrote a poem and then you tell people, you read the poem to people and they go, oh, that's good, I like that. Then that sets seeds because people then think, hey, could I do that? Or I like listening to it, or I'd like to read some poetry or songwriting, I'd like to write. And that's the type of thing that, and then once you've got the support around to keep that going, because that's the thing, sometimes it can just kind of dissipate and disappear, which at the moment, and I think with all this stuff, all that, because you're going to get tons of stuff about lockdown. You're going to get tons of stuff about the government at the moment, and protest songs, protest poems, theatre pieces. So I would say we're in a good creativity, a good team of creativity. I think it's looking positive.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, Greg. Like I say, we've had sort of ups and downs over the last 10 years, and I know you're heavily involved with the studio. The studio's a great venue. There's a lot of great things, and I'm as guilty as a lot of people that I'm not there enough. We should all be there enough. I'm not there enough. I know I'm not. I'm conscious of that. But one of the problems we've got on the scene is that we don't have many venues. And one of the conversations I've had just recently with people in the build up to this is we talk about the days when, not just at weekends, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you could go to the Vic, you could go to the Queen's, you could go to, so many venues putting live music on. And I maintain, and one of the conversations I've had just recently, people tend to agree, there's no lack of talent. There's the same talent there's always been, but there's less outlets. What would you say is the answer to that conundrum, or is it just that artistic contagion that you were talking about there?
Well, I mean, because we have lost lots of venues. Like the Vic was a brilliant place, rough and ready, just a lovely place to play music in. And as was players over the years, Derby, Stories. But I think this lockdown period, with like Jojo Gleave does her Monday night performance thing, which is great and well
the open mic.
The open mic online, and then there's the Wednesday club, which is normally held at the tavern. That does a Wednesday night, obviously. And there's been lots of things that I've not watched on here, enjoyed it as much. I mean, obviously you're not standing on soggy carpet and bumping into people and people farting in front of you, but you could have that if you want. Get your relatives around, I suppose. But it's just another way to show music and to show what you've written, whatever it is. But so I don't know, because we're going to lose more pubs now, I think, after this. So that's more venues gone, because there is the Snig down in West Bank, which is a fantastic venue. That's a really rock and roll pub. And I've got like a brilliant outside space, but that's probably the last of. I can't think of anywhere else. The Ring of Bells does a Friday night thing.
You might be right. The Snig could be possibly the last, and it's brilliant. The Snig, none of us can speak highly enough of the Snig. I was just chatting for one of these interviews, and I was talking to somebody, and they were saying, yeah, all the venues have gone, but look at the Snig still going. It was putting music on back in the day. It's still putting music on now. So
yeah.
If anybody from the Snig is watching this, big shout out to the Snig. It's a brilliant place.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to give it its proper name, but I always get mixed up. Is it the Mersey View or the Mersey something else?
The Mersey Hotel. Hell yeah. Well, I've always got the Mersey, so
yeah.
Either the Mersey or the Snig.
It's got the Snig has a proper name, but lots of people don't know it. I don't know it. Well, I do know it, but I forget.
It's a great pub. It's very close to my heart, the Snig, because my mum and dad used to live around the corner. When I came back, and I went round to my mum and dad's to stay for like a couple of weeks. Ended up staying for 4 years. And one night, my dad said to me, "Here's a quid. Give me £1. This is like 1991 or something. 1990. Give me £1. Go round the corner, have a pint." So I went round the corner with my £1. Might have been 150. Went home, absolutely bladdered. Met all these people, and then it was just, they're just lovely people. John Morell, Denham Keith, Nipper, all these, magic who enriched my life, I think. So it's always been at a special place in my heart.
Like you say, something special like that, a special experience at a young age, that does stay with you forever, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and they're so generous. That I've always found to be really generous people.
Yeah, we love West Bank. As regards to the music scene now, is there anybody that you've seen? Because I know you're involved with a lot of young artists. When we've done Halton Rocks in the past, it was Access All Areas was going there, and you can tell me if that's still going. I don't know if it is, but I know you're very, very heavily involved with the young musicians. Is there anybody coming up now who's really good and really exciting and someone we should be keeping an eye on?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not involved on the ground, so to speak. So I just see, when I go down to shows at the studio and places. But Reese Hopkins is really good, local singer-songwriter. Jenny Colquitt, it's a new band because I played with Vinnie Peculiar, supporting Vinnie Peculiar at the studio just before lockdown. And it was Jenny Colquitt's new, I can't remember what they call it, Elysian.
Yeah.
Elysian. And they played and they're really good. There's quite a few, so I think. I mean, there's lots of good musicians like Sam Rogerson and Ben, who do stuff at the Bells, and they're like really good and just great at what they do. You know, in skills based, good songs.
From the man himself, folks, keep an eye out for Reese Hopkins, Elysian, Sam Rogerson, and so on. And we're coming to the end of it now, Greg, and I'm going to ask you a song. I'm not going to ask you a song at all. That's a stupid thing to say. I'm going to ask you a question, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you I've been asking this question to everybody I've spoken to recently, so it's just for a little bit of fun and to be a bit silly at the end of an interview, right? So we don't quite know when these interviews are getting put out, probably in a week or so from now. We're not really sure what stage in the lockdown we'll be in at the time, but we hope we're coming to the end. But let's say, hypothetically, and God forbid, we got a lockdown again. We've got to do 12 weeks, another 12 weeks, all over again. But this time, you can choose one member of the local music scene to spend your lockdown with. Who would it be and why?
Well, it'd have to be Splodge, because Splodge, best friend, lovely bloke, and he's so funny and so full of fun, and he has tons of beer in the shed in the back and whiskey and various other alcoholic beverages, so it'd have to be Splodge.
I know Splodge, but not very well. You know what I mean? I know Splodge, but not too well. But one of the joyous things, if you two were ever on the same bill or at the same night, it's brilliant to watch the two of you in each other's company, because it comes off you as what good friends you are, and listening to the conversations about music and the laughs you have. It's great when you and Splodge are together. I did not know he had a shed full of booze in the back.
Oh yeah.
You probably shouldn't have told me that, because I'm going to have to go and get my crowbar out.
He has it all going on there. It's amazing.
And very important question, just while I get my pen. What's his address?
I'll tell you off camera.
All right, well, listen, Greg Oldfield, thank you so much for joining us for this talk. As always, it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to chat with you. And thank you very much for doing Halton Rocks. And just before we go, is there anything about either yourself, your music, the music scene, or Halton Rocks you'd like to say to our viewers before we say goodbye?
Just keep having faith in us all, you know, because I appreciate it. You know, what more can I say? Keep the faith.
Great words indeed. Greg Oldfield, thank you so much.
No, brilliant. Cheers, man.